And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I'm talking once again with David Geake. David, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic things. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. David is he's a friend, he's a client, and he's also an expert around taxes. He's a passionate father, grandfather, family guy. He's got lots going on. But what we're going to talk about today, David, is really how can the average person, how can regular working people pay fewer taxes? And you've
Mhm.
been in this world for a long, long time. And a lot of times, tax savings, we think of like the super rich and all of that stuff. But you help normal people, 1099 people, and business owners, and workers, and all kinds of people pay fewer taxes. So that's what we want to talk about today. So help us understand, David, as we dive into this. How in the world did you get doing this now?
Sure, fantastic question. Now, for the tape, I do have 5 children and an empty nester of 5. No grandchildren
No
yet. I
grandkids
just want
yet,
to correct
David.
the tape
There
there.
you go.
So
There you
I'm
go.
excited whenever that first one comes. One of them is married, so but
You
it's in
never
God's hand. So
know.
I just wanted to
We're
set the
telling the Hey,
stage.
David, we're telling the truth in advance. How about
That's
that?
right. I love it. I love it. Well, how I got into the tax planning world way back in 2005, I had my own business and a firm approached me and said, "David, we think we can help you work with your CPA to reduce your taxes." And it was, sort of an odd thought. I'm like, "Oh, I thought that's what the CPA does, tax planning." But as I've come to learn, CPAs are fantastic. We love them, but oftentimes they're very good at tax calculating, but they need a little help in the tax planning realm. And
Mm,
so I listened to them back in '05, and as it turns out, they helped and worked with my CPA to reduce my taxes by 65%. And I'm
wow.
like, I didn't know that. I was pleasantly surprised, but it just reminded me that the government does it. There are lots of good programs that the government has in the tax code and really encourages them, but they stop short sometimes of broadcasting it out there.
Yeah.
What is in the tax code that can work for both business owners and employers, but also employees as well. So
Mm.
I was able to benefit and take advantage of those programs, if you will, for about 20 years. And then after selling my practice, that I decided, you know what? This tax stuff is fun. I'd love to continue just sort of focusing in and helping others in the tax realm.
That's awesome. What a great journey. And 65% savings on your taxes is a big deal. And it's not a one-time thing either. It kind of keeps going year after year after year. So can't imagine how many thousands of dollars you've saved. And so now you're doing this because you've sold your practice,
Mhm.
and you got bored and you're like, okay, I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to keep doing taxes, which to me is like sticking a stick in my eye, David. I mean, taxes and the tax code. Oh my goodness. Praise God that people like you exist who really not only get excited about it, but you understand it and understand how it applies to.
Mhm.
Let's start talking. I mean, business owners obviously need to be
Mhm.
thinking about this, but I mean, we are in a world replete with like 1099 contractors.
Yeah. Mhm.
And does this work for them? And how can it work? What's going on in their world that they can actually benefit from some of these things?
Sure, absolutely. Well, one thing to think when we think about the tax code, the rules are there to help sometimes. They're not always there to hurt. And when the government likes something, say they put some rules in there to help. For example, you know, the government loves home ownership. So, what can they do to help with home ownership? They allow mortgage interest
Mm-hmm.
to be deducted. So that, but if you didn't know that, someone needs to tell you that. They're just
Right.
not going to put commercials out there to show that. But also with when it comes to taxes, compliance is very, very important to make sure you're doing it the right way. So if you're a renter and you try to deduct mortgage interest that you don't have,
That's not
you're
good.
not, that's not a good combination there.
Yeah.
So we love looking to find out, well, what programs are in the tax code that the government like and encourages to benefit the taxpayers
Mm.
and how it can apply to, yes, it applies to business owners, but it also applies to employees as well. So we just look to find those. And when we find some programs that are out there that we've just found are not widely known, then we really try to jump on that like a fumble and just educate others what's out there. And that's what we do.
Well, that's cool. It really connect with the way you explain that makes me think of families who have teenagers who are thinking about college
Hmm.
and they're always looking for scholarships.
Hmm.
Well, I have run across a few people who dive deep into the scholarship world and they're like, oh, there's millions of dollars out there. You
Yeah.
just have to know where it is and how to get it. And they've created companies to help families pay for college education by matching their student with the right scholarships that
Mhm.
are there. But you
Mhm.
have to dig, you have to know. And that's kind of what you do. You understand the tax code that's been written really for individuals and part of it the code for businesses. You
Mhm.
just happen to know all the things that are there so that uh, somebody can come to you and say, okay, David, here's my situation. I'm married, I got two kids, I'm self-employed, and what I make $100,000 a year or whatever.
Mhm.
What are my options? And they kind
Sure.
of give that to you, and then you go do all your due diligence and search the code. Is that kind of how it works?
A little bit, and I'll give you an example, like what you were describing about these college grants
Yeah.
and scholarships that are out there. There are, I've heard millions of dollars of those go unused because
Every year.
sometimes they don't even have any applicants.
Yes.
Now, one of the fun ones that I've found in the tax code that my guess is many of your viewers have pets out there
Okay.
and
All right.
have taken pets to the vet.
Yeah.
And the vet is not cheap. Now, granted, I had 5 children. I had too many mouths to feed already. I didn't need more
Right.
liabilities. But for those that have pets out there, there are actually things in the code that allow for virtual pet coverage, like pet insurance coverage, that
Really?
essentially the government will pick up the tab for.
No
The
way.
government wants healthy pets. Now, that same healthiness also applies for us humans in
Yeah.
terms of preventative, healthiness.
Uh-huh.
So our health insurance system right now, our normal health insurance is about, sickness. When you get sick, you have that
Right.
there. But the government wants you to encourage you to be healthy, so you don't need to lean on that health insurance as much. And Uncle Sam is actually willing to pick up the tab for promoting a healthier workforce,
Interesting.
healthier employees.
That's very cool. So a business, so let's take this to the next level. And so individuals, but what about a business owner? Let's say they have 20 employees,
Sure.
okay? And they work with you and they understand this health,
Mhm.
good health thing. It could benefit the business owner in some form or fashion to reduce their taxes if they had an incentive to go to the gym or maybe a I worked at Family Life for years and we had an in-house gymnasium. It wasn't huge,
Mhm.
but it was enough to
Mhm.
incentivize us to take care of our bodies as well. Is that and so the business owner could potentially save on some taxes by encouraging their people? Is that
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's just even all the business has to do is endorse and promote healthiness and promote this
wow.
preventative, healthcare. And employees can opt in or opt out, so they're not being forced to do anything. But what we have found is about 90+% of the employees, when given the choice, do I want to pay more taxes or have some programs to promote some healthiness and even a little bit of extra dollars in our pockets for our long-term retirement,
Right.
they like choosing option B, the one
Yeah.
that have extra benefits, as opposed to, and really the type of tax that we're talking about right now is that FICA taxes, payroll taxes, which
Yeah.
so often accountants just assume that that is a given, that there is no planning that goes around that. But the
Yeah.
reality is, government has programs to help reduce those FICA taxes, benefits the employees, and then also is a financial windfall for the employers as well, just for endorsing the program.
There you go. I love that because if you're a business owner listening to this, how many of your employees are going to the gym already?
Hmm.
right? They're already doing that, and maybe working with David, you could endorse that and maybe gain some benefit in that area. Maybe do some other things, but help yourself and help your employees not only live healthier lives, but save a little bit of money on taxes. Be able to save a lot more for retirement, and do it in such a way that it's just natural and normal. It's part of the ebb and flow of life because they're not doing anything
Sure.
differently. It's just that um, you're leveraging the tax code.
Well, and let me give you two quick examples. And I know you mentioned little dollars, but these little dollars can add up. Just within the last month, I was able to point out to a manufacturer $18,000 a month they were overpaying in
Wow.
their FICA taxes by not embracing what the tax code has for them.
Uh huh.
And then a large auto group, $27,000 a month
A
in
month.
overpayment. And that just goes right to profits on the bottom line. Now, the key component is compliance.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, fortunately, we have the technology to make sure that not only do we know the code, but we can show how actively that it is being deployed in a compliant way. Super
Wow.
important.
That's super important. That's like $250,000 or more. That's a chunk of change. And
Well, yep, that's exactly
so
right.
especially if you're a business owner listening to this and you have a large organization like an auto dealership or a manufacturing company or whatever, but so it can go from an individual
Yep.
who's an employee,
Hmm.
a 1099 self-employed contractor, business owner, all the way up to you name it, Apple, right? They could be doing
Hmm.
this. Um, anywhere in that gambit, because we all are under the tax code. This really the same tax code,
Hmm.
right? It's
Hmm.
written, and
Yep.
everybody fits into one or two or three categories of the tax code as individuals or business owners or whatever. And it's just a matter of understanding what
Hmm.
scholarships
Yep.
does the government offer, and how can you take advantage of them? Is that a fair way to say that?
Yep, that is absolutely. And in the tax code, there are certain things that for certain size companies, when you get into certain tax codes apply to, some size of companies, others to different ones. So it's really about talking it through to find out where exactly they're at to find the most efficient solutions and the efficient government,
Yeah.
tax codes that apply to them.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I just coined a phrase you can use now: IRS scholarships. That's what you offer. IRS scholarship, kind of like the college scholarships. It's there. The money is on the table. You just have to go get it. But finding it for college scholarships is challenging. For IRS, understanding the tax code would be a nightmare for normal people. I mean, it's
Yep.
just oh my goodness. But
And I work with the existing tax team. I do not replace
yeah,
the CPA's function. I don't do the tax returns, but I will work with them to find out when the tax return is done to see if we can get those numbers to be more in favor of the employees and the employers.
yeah,
So I mean,
and
in addition, certainly not subtracting from the existing team.
right, and obviously based on the couple examples that you shared, it kind of pays for itself because there's probably a fee to work with you, but it sounds like you can many times find enough tax savings to not just pay your fee, but to earn those monies month in month out, year in year out, year in year out. Because once somebody finds it's like the manufacturer, it was like
Mhm.
18,000 a month.
18,000 a month.
And
Mhm.
that's going to be ongoing because
Yep.
they went, oh, if we do this and this differently, we get that savings, and that's going to be for until Jesus comes back, right? I mean, it doesn't change, right?
Mhm. But it actually is even a little bit better than that. A similar analogy in terms of when we talk about our real estate taxes. Sometimes we get solicitations that says, hey, you might be overpaying on your real estate taxes, and that they'll go and they'll try to compete to see if you are, and only if there's savings will there be an expense.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our programs work like that. So they
Okay.
don't even have to write a fee or write a check out of the gates. It's
Okay.
only if there are some savings that
Right.
then there's a cost at that point, but they're always ahead, right out of the gates if
Yeah.
it applies.
Okay. That's very cool. And I guess the thing I like about what you're doing and how you is it's open to everybody, right?
Hmm.
It's not just for the ultra wealthy. It's not
Right.
just for business owners. It's
Hmm.
pretty much if you're breathing and paying taxes, this is for you
Hmm.
because there are things that you're if you get a W-2, if you get a paycheck from a company, then you're
Hmm.
paying the FICA tax
Hmm.
and some other things. You might be paying too much. There might be a way to leverage some of that. If you're a
Hmm.
business owner and you can bring this to your employees and incentivize their health or you had a different word, not incentivize, promote their a healthy lifestyle.
Hmm.
There are
Endorse. Yeah, sure.
endorse it. And it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm sure David can tell you what that means to endorse it.
Mhm.
Maybe you put a stamp on everybody's hand or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
David knows. That's the beautiful thing is there are so many questions and so many little pieces that sometimes little things add up to a lot. Sometimes it's one big thing that goes, oh, did you know? And I bet the business owner, the person goes, I had no idea.
Well, in the other word that's important is sort of redirect. If you could redirect your taxes from going to tax to other types of things, and the employees and the employers are empowered by the tax code to have various different choices to redirect. So it's not always about when we reduce taxes, 100% of those dollars can be redirected
Right,
to our checking account. But if they
right,
can be redirected to something that we have a bigger belief in and benefits from, why not in certain
right.
cases?
Exactly. Well, and I was just sitting back here going, all right, redirecting. If I'm going to the gym and I have two dogs and a cat,
Hmm.
and I can save legally, work with you and take those dollars and redirect them to another place.
Hmm. Yep. Hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool. Who would think, right? But
Well, and here's another example from an employer standpoint. If they can encourage a healthier program to where they have a healthier workforce, not only does that put more monies back into the employer's pocket for doing so just from a tax standpoint, but if the workforce is healthier when it comes to their renewal rates on their existing health insurance or workman's comp, policies that are out there, even without leaving those existing carriers that they're working with, their rates can stay flat or sometimes go down
yeah,
if their employees are healthier. So it's
absolutely.
really a beautiful win-win, which is why I believe the government likes it and encourages that. Going back to the home ownership side, it's amazing when someone buys a home, how many industries benefit from that one transaction in terms of all the trades. And there's just so
Yeah,
many industries that it benefits. So it makes sense why Uncle Sam would allow the deduction of mortgage interest because they like that economic activity. And
yes.
so those are those nuggets that we're looking to find that when the government encourages it and likes it, it can sometimes be a really powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the beautiful thing is, if you're a business owner out there, if you're just an individual, you don't have to do all the work, right? You can call
Mhm.
David, connect with him, and yeah, maybe he wants last year's tax return. Okay, well that's pretty recent. That's pretty easy to do. I don't know how. I don't know what is the process. If somebody reaches out to me, high level, kind of what is it? A conversation with you first? Is it what kind of just walk us through
It
the
all
high
starts with
level?
sure. It all starts with a conversation, complimentary Zoom. We jump on 30 minutes, and it's amazing in just a 30-minute Zoom, certain areas of benefit that we can uncover, even without any documentation at that
Mm-hmm.
point. You're
Mm-hmm.
right that down the road, if it gets to more complex types of outcomes and strategies, sure, a tax return might be needed, but that's usually, step C, D, and E.
Yeah.
Usually in A and B and C,
Yeah.
we can uncover some, what I like to say, some low-hanging fruit in terms of the tax savings that are just right there. So let's start with the simple tax savings, and then if we get to the more complex, if it's applicable, we will.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. All right. Well, let's tell people how to do it because you and I mean, I could ask you 1,000 questions about all this and just go into detail, but at one level that's helpful. At another level, it's more helpful if somebody just actually reaches out and has the conversation, goes, okay, I'm totally confused or I'm very intrigued or tell me about this and just talks with you. What's the best way, David, for somebody just to connect with you?
The best way is LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Connect with me there. I've got a calendar link associated with my LinkedIn, so they can set up a complimentary 30-minute Zoom right there.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to grab that. I'm going to put that in the show notes because it's really intriguing that people can pay fewer taxes. Most people, I'm going to say this. You don't have to. Most people could probably pay fewer taxes if they have a conversation with you, because I think most people they're like me, David, and this is not slamming it. We're just ignorant. We've
Mhm.
learned, here's what you do. Okay, that's what we do. And the government is out there going, there are lots of opportunities, just like college scholarships, lots of opportunities. David's the guy who understands the code, the laws, and how, your situation. Okay, here are four things we can do. What would you
Mhm.
like to do? Right?
And in the worst case, if the worst case we reinforce that there's nothing we can do, you're already paying the legal minimum and you are as efficient as possible can be. If that's the worst case, that's why we don't charge for that 30-minute complimentary Zoom. So you
Yeah,
can at least have your head hit the pillow knowing that, all right, they double checked and
yeah.
I'm good. But you're right. There is a very high percentage that we can uncover some savings.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to grab that. We're going to put that in the show notes and let you reach out to David and see how, have that conversation, free 30 minutes. You're going to sleep better because you're going to say, hey, I'm good. Or, wow, there are some opportunities to maybe redeem some money, redirect it, and do some things. Take advantage of some of these um, opportunities, these, as I would say, these IRS scholarships,
Mhm.
among other things. There are some ways to leverage the tax code. David understands all of that. He and his team can help you. So take the chance, just reach out and have a conversation, and you're going to
And
be in a much better place.
And Michael, let me add, in terms of from the employer standpoint that wants the healthier workforce, people that are working in HR departments or CFOs or fractional CFOs, those are powerful people to have conversations with because they can really see how it can apply to a greater amount. So love to talk with all of those, even CPAs and bookkeepers. They're awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, reach out to David. I've got his LinkedIn in the show notes. And David, it's always fun to have you on because you're always bringing great content and helping people save money on taxes. Thanks for doing that, brother.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael. Have a great day.
Thanks.